US, we're known as a very mobile country compared to other parts of the world. But part of the implication of the fact that we are a very mobile populace is that when job market adjustment happens, so you have a negative shock in one place and a positive shock in some other place, we are able to equilibrate that market so that people can find those jobs in those new places. Not only had, and this is mobility, short distance, long distance, etc., all moves, the rate had fallen, but that the rate for immigrants had fallen to native populations as well. And in terms of the interstate mobility rates, it turned out that immigrants, while they did have higher mobility in the 2000 period, they didn't actually have differentially higher mobility across most of the period in terms of long distance moves. By the end of the period, immigrants were about a percentage point less mobile across county lines than even natives. Recent immigrants are going to, you would expect, to be the most mobile because they haven't actually placed roots in communities right away. And you do see that across immigrant cohorts of arrival. But if you look at the end of the period again, you do see a secular decline. You see it even much more of a decline from about 2% to 1%, and among those immigrants who had been in the country 10 years or more, which suggests that they're putting down roots and possibly they may even be less mobile than native populations. That immigrant mobility overall shrunk in the recession period, or kind of before the recession, to where we are from 3.1% to 2.4% for intra-urban moves, but native-born residential mobility only declined from 3 to 2.8%. We found that you could explain about 22% of the decline in the overall reduction in mobility in the US because of the reduction in mobility among immigrants. Once you switch from being a new arrival to a settled immigrants are less mobile than native populations. We're going to try to explore how kind of inter-urban migration of recent immigrants affect kind of public transit riderships. We saw that an increase in the white population was correlated with a reduction in transit trips. And then if you had a change in new immigrants to the area, no matter where they may have come from. So Model 2 then adds our new variable. We found consistently that if there were immigrants moving from within the US, we actually saw a reduction in transit trips. But the immigrants moving from outside the US, that was correlated with an increase in transit trips. It seems to be that if the new arrivals are from another country rather than from within the US, you're more likely to have higher transit demand. Ultimately, if we feel like this is a robust finding that these in-migration rates are an additional variable than just population characteristics, then you could use that for model forecasting for planners.